What up, everybody? You're now tuned into the true definition of a sports fanatic. I'm your host, Brandon Lampley, back today with another live stream. Man, it's good to be back. But hey, I got some for us today. Today's number of the day, just like Sesame Street, boys and girls. Today's number is 10. 10. How many points did the Jacksonville Jaguars leave on the field Sunday? 10. How many points did the Jacksonville Jaguars lose by? 10. It's so frustrating, man, watching that game. How are you +3 in the turnover margin? You left points on the field. I mean, you should have at least been 27-27 in the fourth quarter, having them sweat to go make the plays. And what the biggest frustrating thing for me was watching their receivers running wide open. I'm like, yes, Patrick Mahomes is good, but anybody could have hit those receivers Sunday. It was amazing. Mostly uncontested. Andre Sisco, people was calling him Donovan Darius 2.0. I was very proud of that young man. He played a whale of a game. Clean hits too, by the way. All them Chiefs fans crying. Clean hits. But I got my co-host with me, Mr. John Reed. How you feeling today, sir?
Feeling good, man. It's just, to be truthful, the Jaguars and me are becoming harder and harder and harder to watch. Because as far as me watching them, I'm seeing the same things that I've been seeing over the last 5 years. It's just coming in a different way. You just what you said, missed opportunities, leaving points on the board, and guys like Cisco, you play a good game like that, you're doing everything possible to win, showing, you want to have that type of effort in a winning effort. And then when you lose like that, it just, that's just like a sidebar to another loss, And, I say this, Brandon, I know the music, man, but you know what, man, I just, it just seems disheartening. It just seems to me like we've been talking about a place kicker for a long time with this franchise, and they still don't have it right. I can remember all last season they brought in, it was almost more than one on one hand, and it just seems like the same old bugs, the same old mess, the same old keep you from winning situations. It's still there with this franchise, man. And it just, is nowhere in the world. And I know a lot of franchises have problems with kickers. And the bottom line, you should stick with what you got at this point of the year. But,
yeah,
man, this is something that you should have. The Jaguars should not have a kicker on their roster who can't make field goals or extra points. That's bottom line.
Right. Yeah, you shouldn't have that, and we've been since Lambeau's been gone. This has been the issue. Like, why them cutting Matthew Wright? I'm at this point. I'm like, man, who cares about kickoffs? Can I get my 3 points? Matthew Wright was a good kicker, and I seen. I think the Titans just signed Lambeau to their practice squad.
Yeah, and that's what the one of the problems with this franchise is they're too personal. It's too personal to you got to look beyond certain things when you in this position that they're in. What I'm saying is, okay, yeah, Wright didn't kick the ball in the end zone for touchbacks, but he was consistent kicking it through the uprights when they needed it. I just don't think you dismiss kickers who have shown ability. I can go back and still remember the game they played in London when they beat the Dolphins, and this kid came out of nowhere, came off the sideline, and made that kick to win that game. Mm-hmm. And you got to have, it's about clutch performance. And I say this, I don't want to be long. my students call me preacher now. So sometimes I get going. I might start putting my hands up and start boxing, but man, this team, I done said this before. a playmaker is not only a wide receiver. I consider a playmaker a guy who can make plays to help you win the game. And yes, a place kicker is a playmaker. This team does not have playmakers on either side of the ball. I watched Josh Allen a lot Sunday. I watched him a lot to just see what in the world is going on. And a lot of times I watched him and he was swinging wide. And I said, I know he's going to come back, slide around or do a spin around or something to get himself in position to make a play. And I'm starting to call him one track Josh, because once he go in one direction, that's the only direction he's moving. And he looks like a hell of a football player, man. Let me tell you.
Hey, I like the quote from his draft day. Was it Doug Marrone? I think said it. I think it was Doug Marrone. He said, football is about big men, and Josh Allen is a big man.
Yeah,
I think that's what he said. I think that's the quote that he had. But it was I think is it Jordan DeLugo on Twitter? I can't remember who it was, but he was watching Josh Allen. He said, man, Josh Allen had more pass rush moves in his rookie year than he utilizes now. It's like
sad to say, but true. It's true. And how can that happen?
How does that happen?
How can it happen? I mean, what we saying that Calais Campbell and Yannick, they had that much influence to help him, mentor him, and he's essentially done forgotten everything that they taught him? Or is he just not? You know, the thing is, Brandon, when I watch their defensive front, and particularly, watching Walker and Allen, it's almost to me, I'm seeing the same player in just another number. They're doing the same pass rush moves, and they all coming up high. They can't. They're not arching the back. They're not spinning around. They just relying on force off the ball, off the snap, that forced and speed rushing, and they just going straight up at the guy. And you cannot be a sack artist with one move. It's just like boxing, man. You can have a great left hook, but if you ain't got no counter punch or no jabs, it's hard as hell to win that match, because you're going to be figured out. And to me, it just seemed like the whole entire Jaguar defense is being figured out, and there's not enough counter moves, and it's like they wear down as the game go on. And it's nowhere in the world you can compete with Kansas City and you don't get a sack. I mean, this guy moves around the pocket, and he's a hell of a magician. That's what I call him about Mahomes. But man, you cannot allow this kid to stand in that pocket and pick you and knife you down, and you can't get no pass rush pressure on him. And that's what happened. They didn't get enough pressure on them. Now they were competitive. I mean, it was a good, it's, you want to call it a respectable loss after being down 20-0. Yeah, I mean, you can go take that home, but I don't see what I intended to see with this football team at this point of the season. I mean, I thought this defense was a hell of a lot better than what they've been showing. And, it just saddens me that a kid have as big game as Cisco had with the big hits, the big plays, and you can't reward them with a victory.
So even Christian Kirk said, he said after the loss, he was sick to his stomach. He had a huge drop on that first drive. And there was I know there was one play where Trevor, he had the ball batted down at the line of scrimmage by Carlos Dunlap, and he was going to get it to Kirk, and Kirk had 50 yards of green grass in front of him.
Yeah.
I don't think the safety of the linebacker would have caught Kirk. So it's just, man, it's such a game of inches, little mistakes here and there. You miss 2 field goals. Cam Robinson blocking people in the end zone, having touchdowns called back. That's 10 points right there. And for as great as Kansas City is, at no point did I feel like even when it was 20-0 during that game, I was like, the Jaguars beat themselves in this game.
Mm-hmm.
It was evident. It was very
Mm-hmm.
clear that you beating yourself. You taking yourself to the woodshed right now.
Mm-hmm. Then I don't know what it is, man. When we go back, I mean, I guess what we're gonna be going back on this season. I guess the moral of the story going to be how in the world did this team play so well in week 2, week 3, and you go to LA, you beat a high-powered Chargers team with a great quarterback, young quarterback, and just totally dominate a Colts team. And you played great on both sides of the ball during the stretch. And then it's just like this, you can't find, I think the biggest thing is you can't put the three phases together. You can't play solid in all three phases.
Yeah.
And to be honest, from watching the Jaguars in the spring, I thought the strength of the team, even though Trevor there and Kirk and those receivers and ETN, I thought the strength of this defense. I mean, I just gave it away. I thought the strength of the team would be the defense.
Yeah.
I just thought that
I thought so too.
Mike Caldwell would be aggressive. They learned from what happened last year because defense was an issue. They couldn't get enough pressure, couldn't get enough sacks, couldn't stop the run. This team invested so much in the draft on linebackers, stopping the run, getting guys in free agency to improve the defensive front. And then I just see now it just seems like, man, the defensive front can't get pressure on the quarterback. I don't know what done happened to the number one pick. I mean, he's getting good pressure, but he's not making enough of an impact in the game to be a number one overall pick. And believe me, man, I praise this kid. I went to his hometown. I saw film on him. I saw what his effort was during the whole spring. I think right now he's probably wrestling with confidence issues. And I don't know what in the world done happened to Josh. Josh is just a no-show each week. I mean, you got to be real what's real, man. There's no way in the world a guy done been in this league going in the 4th year and vanish in the game where he's not making any sacks. He's not making enough. He's getting some pressure. I'll give him that.
Yeah, he's top 10 in pressures. I think 21st overall in defensive stops. Those numbers are fine, but overall,
he's not making plays. He's not making enough impactful plays to make him just separate himself. I watched the game and It's like, man, I don't see anything that make me pause and say, boy, that's Josh Allen. And I agree with what you said earlier in the show that, man, he showed more. Hell, I feel he showed more moves in the Pro Bowl. He played in the Pro Bowl as a rookie, and he showed moves in the Pro Bowl that he ain't showing now. And that's just one game.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I look and it's like he's taking himself out of the play. He's too wide. He's taking himself out of the play from making the play.
I have a solution for the defense, and I think this will work because it's very obvious that Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker are playing out of position. They're not outside linebackers.
No question.
It's a failed experiment. They're not outside linebackers. Both of them are hand in the ground defensive ends.
Yeah.
And they need to go back to the 4-3, put both of them on the ends. Of course, Trayvon Walker, hey, that's your big end. Put Josh Allen on the weak side. And now we're doing that. Now you can put Muma on the field with Oluokun and Devin Lloyd. You got to go back to the 4-3. The 3-4 is not working. You do not have the personnel for a 3-4. It's obvious.
And what you're saying is the problem with the whole I keep saying the whole franchise, but it goes back to the GM, man. I know I don't want to be the guy to throw the guy under the bus every day, every time that we have a show on Tuesday night. But it falls a lot. Yes, it does fall on Doug Peterson too. But number one, you have to know what your talent is on your roster to assess it, to know what you need to add.
Yeah.
I'm hearing stuff this week in practice that these guys, I done heard that they're not a zone type team. They're not a man-to-man team. What are they? If you can't play zone coverage, I know football.
Mm-hmm.
Zone coverage is probably the easiest thing you can cover. All you cover in an area. It's just like basketball. The one thing you have to do in sports, particularly on defense, is communicate. And if you telling me that these guys are out here at practice every day and can't communicate on when you release the guy, meaning you allowing him to go beyond you in the next zone area, and you cannot get that down pat after 3 or 4 days of practice, then there's the miscommunication going on with the coaching staff and the players, because you don't have to. The reason you play zone is because it's taken away. It's just like zone in basketball and football is the same thing, because if you can't stop threes and then you can't stop inside penetration, then you play a zone and you make yourself honest. You're gonna give up something, so you rather give up the 3-point shot because it's a higher percentage shot than giving up the lane wide open and somebody busting you and coming through. So you filling in the gaps. It's the same thing in this league in football. You got guys, like if you gonna play Trey Herndon at outside cornerback, then you playing him. He's only got to be responsible for like a 15-yard area. You don't have to go deep. You got somebody sitting there waiting to go deep. So if you don't have the personnel, which it means if you don't have talent to play zone, then you don't have talent to play defense.
Right. I haven't heard that. That is amazing to me because it's very obvious they don't have the horses for man. It's only one corner on the roster who can play man consistently and not get beat, and that's Tyson Campbell. The rest of those guys can't play man. You have to play zone, and they're struggling to play zone. And what you said, exactly what you said, it's communication. It's communication. You can take some high school kids and put a zone together.
Yeah, you can't, and then I'm hearing this about Devin Lloyd. But I still feel right now we ain't going into the third week of November. This kid is a good football player.
Yeah.
But when you don't critique well enough, which you mean if you're not having this kid in the film room, or he's not taking initiative to go watch more film, then somebody got to take hold of that responsibility, because I think it's more than that. I heard people on the radio say it Sunday night that, he just didn't look like he was fast. He could be nursing the injury, but the problem I have, man, you got to know what the Chiefs are doing. They got one of the best tight ends in the league, and you know exactly he's a target. He's not a blocking tight end. So you have to play him straight up. You can't get suckered in and get beat on a crossing route when Kelsey is one of the best tight ends in the league, and
you can't leave him wide open.
You can't leave him wide open, but you also, I don't know if that was a statement or not, but you can't throw your rookie first round pick under the bus either. You gotta, hey, he's a rookie, man. I don't care what his credentials was at Utah and all the natural gifts he's got, athleticism and all that stuff. But rookies are rookies in this league, and they get picked on a lot. And he's no different. But I listened to the press conference, and he's got to do this, and we had to set him out. I don't know if that's the best message to send, because Devin Lloyd, in my opinion, unless they make just a stupid move, Devin Lloyd is going to be here for some years.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a okay, well, it didn't work out, and we're going to see, can we trade him after year 3? He's going to be here a while. But you have to take rookies week to week. And if he's not doing the initiative, because I think the problem is, I don't think it looked to me that he's not watching film enough or something. He's not putting himself in position to make plays. But that fall on the coaching staff. And I don't want to see this competition battle because I feel, and I said this earlier, I don't think they needed to draft 2 linebackers when they had more pressing needs on the offensive side, particularly at wide receiver. So do we now justify the pick? We got to get Mooney in the game now, and that's the thing, man. It's a winning franchise philosophy, a winning culture, a winning top to the bottom, from the GM down to the coaching staff. Everybody's on the same page. I don't know if they're on the same page with the Jags, to be truthful about it. And you have to live with your mistakes in this league, man. This is it is the NFL, but you have to live with the, football games are played in September, October, November, December. But football games are won in the off season.
Yeah.
And these guys keep losing in the off season. And
and I'm gonna give you an example of losing in the off season. For my people who are squeamish and they hate this, you could turn away now, but I gotta put it out here. This is the 2020 NFL draft. The Jaguars picked K'Lavon Chaisson at 20th overall. Look who was picked at 22. Yeah. Justin Jefferson. Did you see him Sunday?
Yeah, that catch.
Man, my goodness, man.
And look at this. Look at the 25th pick. I would put the 25th pick would be, I mean, shit, he would be, I don't know if he's better than Christian Kirk, but he would be up there up there at the top of the list there as far as a number 1 receiver.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's just, Lord have mercy. Look at all this. What they just.
Oh my goodness. I mean, shoot, look,
Michael
T. Higgins.
34 pick. Well, yeah, T. Higgins, 33.
Yeah, Michael Pittman Jr. Man, you got to be kidding me, man. We took K'Lavon Chaisson. That's, man, when I saw that, because somebody posted it after his game. He had 10 for 193 and that touchdown, of course, that ridiculous catch that he had. And watching that Buffalo Minnesota game, I was like, there's no way. I'm like, oh man, Buffalo done mopped the floor with them. And I wasn't looking at the game. And then you get the alert, Buffalo and Minnesota in a 4-point game. 4-point game. I said, let me go check this back out. And man, that ending was crazy. That ending was crazy, man. Did you see that ending?
Oh yeah, I saw. Overtime, down to the line. I was watching it on NFL Red Zone. But Brandon, I want to ask you a question, man. Why do you think these guys put so much emphasis on defense when this is a offensive league? It's an offensive league. And if you go back over the year, and I know it worked in 2017. He brought in the draft. I mean, he brought in free agents. They clicked. They worked. Gibson, the guys, the Boye and all those guys. It clicked. It worked. They were a great defensive team. But, man, when you just showed that board, who in the world would not think, even when Jefferson was at LSU, I mean, I knew then, you knew then, he's the number 1 receiver who can make plays.
Yeah.
It doesn't take rocket science to know if a kid is good or not. You play in the SEC, and, you can praise the SEC. If you got guys making catches, acrobatic, one-handed, in traffic, in double coverage, with speed, against Alabama, why would you not think that's going to translate to the NFL?
Yeah.
And why do you think it wouldn't translate to an NFL franchise who needs big play ability Big plays put fans in the stands, man. I don't care what it is. I know this got loyal fan base in Jacksonville, but don't think people don't go to these games to see that catch that kid made to in person.
Yeah. And that's one of the rare times I've seen the trade work out equally for both teams. The Bills getting Stephon Diggs and the Vikings getting Justin Jefferson. Yep. I mean, that's an equal trade right there. Equal trade right there.
Trade.
I mean, both teams, man. Watching that, and you like you say, it's very obvious. This is a offensive league. Now people are questioning why did the Atlanta Falcons draft Kyle Pitts?
Yeah.
You're not going to use him properly. So what was the purpose? Why did you draft Kyle Pitts? You could have drafted a quarterback. This is what you needed.
Yeah. There's too much overcoaching too, man. It's this guy, hey, man, if he did it in college, I think he can do it at the NFL. Look at his physical frame. I'll put him on the outside. If they don't want him, trade him. Jags should get him. Trade him. Put him on the outside. Let him. To me, I never thought of him as a tight end. I thought of him as a big receiver that can run and make plays. And that's the way they should use him. They got the guy blocking and running 5-yard routes and don't utilize them. That's crazy, man. They watching the quarterback run keepers and scrambles.
Yeah, watching that, and then it's very obvious that this is an offensive league, like you said, man. Look at Tua, man. I did not expect them to do what they did to the Browns.
Yeah,
I'm talking about that was ridiculous. And then people because it's Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but he has to make the throws.
Yeah,
and so whether it was Tua, or this the other one, the Fighting Jeff Saturdays of Indianapolis got a win, but I know it was against the Raiders though. We get it was against the Raiders, and they brought Matt Ryan back, but he got him a win against the Colts. Everybody was talking about that. But this is the game right here that I watched. I'm so happy for Christian Watson, the wide receiver for the Packers. I think in the first 8 games, he had 10 catches for 88 yards. And then I think he had 4 for 107 and 3 touchdowns Sunday night. And I'm very, very happy. It was Sunday night. I think it was a 425 game. But yeah, love that for that kid, man. Hey, same with the Cardinals. And you seen what they're doing loading up on weapons. Look what the 49ers have done. Look what the Chargers have done. Look what the Eagles have done. Even though they did drop to the Commanders, I was very shocked by that. But, this is just an example of what you talk about. Look at all the teams, and they made an emphasis on surrounding their young QBs or QBs, period, with talented players at wide receiver. And like you said, playmakers. The Jaguars lack playmakers, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, because you don't have guys who are going to just make plays down the stretch.
But you know what? They're going to be one of the biggest questions. I still say for the life of me, because I knew what they averaged last year. They averaged under 15 points a game. They obviously had a problem. You had Trevor dropping back and really ain't had no receivers, no playmakers to make plays. But for the life of me, I thought for under no circumstances that's what they were going to address as one of their biggest needs was getting him weapons, getting, the number one guy, all the hype was around Trevor Lawrence, and, you got to put people around them, playmakers. And to me, starting with February throughout, the number one incentive for the team is that we need linebackers and we need to stop the run. And I'll be honest with you. What they're 3-7, that clearly that road to rebuilding was a mistake. No question. The direction that they took this offseason is clearly a mistake. They may not talk about it, but I just feel they haven't done it. They didn't do enough offensively to be more of an explosive offensive team. and you got to sustain it. You can't go out and do it for 2 weeks in September and get figured out, and then you're inconsistent the rest of the season, and you don't know. 1 week is the defense, 1 week is the offense, 1 week is Trevor looked good, the next week we got turnovers. I mean, you got to have. We talked about this a couple of shows ago, man. You got to have. I'm a strong believer that you build a team with young talent, with veterans, and you can't. The draft that you showed, I mean, that alone set you back 3 years right there.
Yeah.
Chase will be watching the games on Sunday like me and you, and Jefferson will be an all-pro, all everything for the next 10 years. And it's just that simple. You can't leave Hall of Fame talent on the board to try to, okay, we're going to do it the Trent Baalke way. And the Trent Baalke way is I'm smarter than you when it comes to football, talent evaluations. Nobody else in the country see this kid as being a great edge rusher, but we see it, so we taking him. And here we got right. Jefferson be a Hall of Fame receiver.
Back-to-back drafts. Back-to-back drafts. If I'm not mistaken, you took C.J. Henderson and Caleb Von Chason back-to-back drafts.
Yeah.
That's a setback. You're right. It set that a couple of years, taking those guys mid-first round. That was one of Dave Caldwell's issues, is that he missed in the first round. He get no credit, zero credit for Jalen Ramsey. That's just that you had to do that. You had no choice. They would have set the stadium on fire if you would have passed over Jalen Ramsey at 5, because he could have went as early as 3 to San Diego. Well, they were saying you at 5. You credit for that. Other than that, it's ugly. It's ugly. It's the money. You have to hit in the first round.
You have to, especially if you're drafting 9th overall. And you said this earlier, man. What do this franchise got to show? What does it has to show for the trade with Jalen Ramsey?
ETN, that's it. ETN was the last of it.
Yep, that's it. Yep. That's all you got. So,
yep, that's all you got.
Losing start in the off season, and it's like that in every sport, man. It ain't just NFL. If you don't have the blueprint of how to turn around your situation, knowing what you're trying to build, what you need, the assets that you got to have to turn your program into a winner, then you just bringing in pieces and you just throwing a rabbit's foot and hope that you do this and hope that you do that, and I hope they turn out to be this. And I think that's what we got here, man. I think that's what we have. This team was not going to win without having playmakers. They got some, they just don't have enough of them. And that clearly should have been priority number one, man. Get the offensive explosive. Let me say that again. Get the offense as explosive as possible. Don't try to be the Titans. Don't try to be the Colts. Make the offense one of the most explosiveness offenses in the league. That's the Miami Dolphins blueprint. The Miami said, we got to have points. We play in Kansas City. Our road to the playoffs is going with these high-powered teams like Buffalo, Kansas City, the teams that can score 1-2 touchdown. And that's what they did. And they didn't just throw it all out at once. They had those picks. They waited for the moment, and they addressed the need at no defensive front with Chubb. But the big part is they they did what they had to do to get more explosiveness on the football field, like a heel. Make the trade, get them, sign them.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
team,
Draft Jalen Waddle, draft Gesicki.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
you get speed on both sides of the field, and who cares if hell? I think Water is a number one, or a number. I mean, when they're not worrying about who's number one in Miami, they're worrying about who can get in the end zone. But you got that side, you got this side, you got speed on this side, you got speed on the right side, and you give your quarterback options. And I just think that until that happens, that's when we're gonna see the real Trevor Lawrence is when he has weapons that can get through any coverage, run any route, catch the pass, don't drop it, until the Jaguars figure that out, that it takes a franchise quarterback to have weapons to beat coverage. Then that's when he becomes a franchise quarterback. Then that's when they'll start winning. Because to me, losing is losing. But I would rather see a losing Jaguar team put points on the board in a hurry, continue to put points on the board in a hurry, lose a game in a shootout, than see these guys for the last couple of weeks. Oh, well, we lost by one score, but you really, the deficit was a little. I mean, you couldn't match their firepower, to be honest. So that's what hopefully that they in the offices trying to figure out the plan going into 223.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I see my I don't know if it's my internet or what, but it's a bit of a delay, I guess, and whatever. We're gonna keep working through it. Keep working through. Yeah, it's a little slow over here. But yeah, I mean, you have to go get playmakers. So, man, but we're gonna wrap up that right there. We're gonna get into this Mr. Tom Brady. Man. Hey, I said it though. Tom was playing. Let's be honest. Tom was not playing well. Tom was playing like cheeks. He wasn't playing well. And Bruce Arians came out. I don't know if it was today or yesterday when they asked about the struggles of the Bucs for the last 2 weeks, and he was like, Tom wasn't playing well. Point blank. Period. It's just what it is, and he wasn't. Now he's on the road. They're 500. They're 5-5 now. And I told you, it ain't over till it's over. Until I see eliminated from playoff contention, eliminated from playoffs, I'm not counting out Tom Brady. But he has a new distraction now. Because before he had a major distraction. Now he's moved forward. He's parted ways with his wife, now ex-wife. But now there's a new distraction. She supposedly has moved right across right across from him. She bought a mansion right across from his. There's water between them. So he walk out his back door, he can see her front yard. So she bought a right across from his, and no parents, and now the kids were like that. So I have no problem with that. Some people were, talking about it, saying that's toxic or whatever, because they talked about Kanye doing the same thing, buying a house down the street. But hey, your parents and the children don't have to travel that far. It is what it is. But this new development story, and shout out to Mr. Robert Littal, Black Sports Online. He has some of the best headlines. So the original headline, this headline is hilarious. He said Tom Brady allegedly was blindsided that jiu-jitsu instructor Joaquin Valente was making his now ex-wife Gisele Bundchen tap out, but not in the way Brady thought he was when he praised Valente on social media for helping his then wife with her bling. So the story is that she met this guy a year and a half ago. He's a jiu-jitsu instructor. She signed their son up for lessons, and then she ended up joining the class as well. Now, supposedly, she was on vacation, and they were the rumor mill about them dating and being a bunch of mess, but a little bit of the same. So it says that most people know by now, Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen has already moved on. Her new man, Joaquin Valente, was her jiu-jitsu teacher, and they are now spending time together on vacation in Costa Rica. According to TMZ, the trip was supposed to be with Bündchen and the Brady kids, but she had other plans, which has those close to Brady wondering why Valente was invited. Brady source told TMZ that the quarterback's camp is not buying it and questioned why this Miami guy is in Costa Rica with her. He said, it always seemed weird. She just one day abruptly ended the marriage. Say Bunchen's camp, Jay is there with his brothers, but not many people believe in coincidences. Yeah, neither do I. They say BSO was one of the first to report on Bunchen's new man. Say Gisele may have a new man in her life after divorce from Tom Brady, stepping out with jiu-jitsu instructor Joaquin Valente on Saturday. The duo grabbed a bite to eat at the Koje Provincia de Puterines. I think I said that right, with the 42-year-old model's two children, Benjamin and Vivian. Bunston showed her stomach in a crop top, flowing black pants on the dinner date. The Valente brothers co-creator, his part was all smiles in the gray shirt and shorts. So yeah, that was one of the previous articles. So yeah, they got video where she was in the class and he was teaching her grappling. And Tom Brady at one point tweeted and praised him with her grappling skills. You know, everybody's kind of had fun with that. But I myself believe in coincidences. This is not a coincidence. She met this guy a year and a half ago, and now all of a sudden they're hanging out and all of this. So I always kind of felt like she wanted to get back into these streets and that there was another bull in the ring. She was probably bored. They had been together 13 years. You know, man, she had dated, you know, guys like I know she was with DiCaprio, and she had probably dated men in the industry and wasn't very public. So, you know, she probably had a very fulfilling life. Now, being with Tom Brady, I'm sure with that stability and he's all about football, it's probably a boring life. Now, that's no excuse to blow up your family. You know, it is what it is, but you know, I'm just stating. But yeah, I don't believe in these coincidences. And yeah, if I'm Brady, I do have the side eye on this, but I know he's not too focused on this because he got to write that train in Tampa Bay.
Well, let me go back. So this is so she's seeing somebody already?
Yeah, their divorce was finalized a couple weeks ago. Yeah, and she's known this guy now for a year and a half. He's the jiu-jitsu instructor that she signed her son up for to take classes from. Then she signed up to take classes. Yeah. Yeah,
we better go to the next topic, man.
Hey, what up, Chris? Hey, Chris say, be aware of those coaches. They always hunting for milfs. Chris, I've been a part of coaching. I've been out there from little league to middle school to high school. It's out there. Oh man, it's out there. And they don't care what her relationship status is. It's out there. And not only that, he's a jiu-jitsu instructor, so he does training. So those gym dudes too, man, keep your girl away. I'm telling you, man.
Man, I might have had to reconsider mine.
This is that's them out and about.
Oh man. Sometimes
and look at that grin on his face. Look at that smile on his face. Yeah, look at that smile on his face. He up to no good. I don't care. I'm on Brady's side in this.
Well, Brady got football, man.
Yeah, man, this is funny. So
he got a Super Bowl opportunity.
Yeah, he got to focus on football. He can't be caught up and worried about this. Okay, I never saw the video. Let's check the video out. Let's see this.
A mulher é tudo igual. Você tem uma mulher igual desse jeito? Você tem? Então, tem uma mulher igual desse jeito? Mulher é tudo igual.
Yeah. Yeah, all that touching and rubbing and patting and hugging. And see, this was a cover up. So, oh, he's just my jujitsu instructor, honey. He's teaching me how to defend myself. And you want me to be able to defend myself if you're not around and somebody, comes and tries to do something. And then they did a photo shoot together as well. So it's just that the rabbit hole keeps going. It just keeps going. Let's see this. They did a photo shoot together. Come on.
Okay.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like some of them poses. I don't like it. They look like a knockoff Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I don't like it. After I saw that, and how long ago was that? They don't show the date on this. I would have had a side eye her after seeing that from the beginning. What are you doing? And I know they're gonna mask it as, oh, this is business. And man, he's not gonna pass up the opportunity to have Giselle bunched in a part of his like marketing and her taking my class and her talking about how she, oh man, he still look good. I think she 43. Yeah, dude was all over her. You can't tell me he's lying though. He better have a boyfriend. I'll say this: he better have a boyfriend for me to believe that he has no interest in her. He better come out with his boyfriend. If he don't have a boyfriend, something was going on before they got divorced. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, I think I don't know what time
right there. Unretired. Crazy.
Yeah.
We're gonna leave that right there. We're gonna move on, but Brady got to focus on football, man. It is what it is. So
yeah, the price he has.
Yeah. Oh, what Chris say? He say Tom can't say too much. He'll be flipping him next, or he'll be flipping him next. Oh. Well, I mean, yeah, you got a guy who I'm sure who's in impeccable shape. He knows defensive tactics and whatever. And Tom isn't the greatest athlete as far as athleticism. He's one of the greatest athletes of all time because of what he's achieved. But as far as athleticism, it is what it is. But yeah.
Ooh,
man, we're gonna get into this.
I'm swag. Who's sweating?
Oh, oh yeah,
sweat?
Yeah. I forgot all about that.
I'm sweating.
Kept talking about that. Yeah, I made a song and everything. Man, finally got the next one. So, and talk about Virginia football, and as many people have heard about the shooting on campus, and so this is very sad. These I think 5 people were killed, 2 were injured. It was a former player, and it's just this is crazy. I haven't heard anything about a motive, but you say a former University of Virginia football player suspected of killing 3 football players and wounding 2 other students on campus late Sunday night is in custody after a manhunt in Charlottesville, Virginia. Police confirmed Monday. During a news conference Monday, University of Virginia President Jim Ryan said 3 Cavaliers football players were shot and killed. Junior receiver Lavelle Davis Jr. of Dorchester, South Carolina, junior receiver Devin Chandler of Huntersville, North Carolina, and junior defensive end linebacker Deshaun Perry of Miami. Authorities said the suspect in the shooting, identified as Christopher Darnell Jones Jr., was apprehended without incident just before 11 a.m. in Henrico County, Virginia. University of Virginia Police Chief Tim Longo said Jones, 22, had been arrested and charged with 3 counts of second-degree murder and 3 counts using a handgun in the commission of a felony. See, Jones was listed as a freshman running back on the team's 2018 roster, and his roster bio noted that he previously played at Petersburg High School and Varina High School in Virginia. Ryan said 2 other students were shot and were hospitalized. He said one was in good condition and one was in critical condition. Ryan did not identify the other students. One of the injured students is junior running back Mike Hollins. His father told Washington Post, he said that his son is in stable condition after being shot in the back. The doctor said he's going to recover. They said because of his age and physical condition, he's doing exceptionally well. Said Mike is a fighter. He's showing it. Hollins' mother, Brenda Hollins, said to the Associated Press, "We have great doctors who have been working with him. And most importantly, we have God's grace and God's hands on him." A school official confirmed to ESPN that the 5th victim is a female student who was in good condition as of Tuesday morning. Ryan said the shooting took place on a charter bus after students returned to campus from a field trip. He called the incident a sad, shocking, tragic day for the university community. "Let me say how deeply sorry I am for the victims and for their family and friends," Ryan said. In a statement, Virginia football coach Tony Elliott said his team is experiencing devastation and heartache. He said, "I cannot find the words to express the devastation and heartache that our team is feeling today after the tragic events last night that resulted in the deaths of Lavelle, Deshaun, and Devin, and others who were injured." Elliott said in the statement, "These were incredible young men with huge aspirations and extremely bright futures. Our heart aches for their families, their classmates, and their friends. These precious young men were called away too soon. We're all fortunate to have been a part to have them be part of our lives. They touched us, inspired us, and worked incredibly hard as representatives of our football program, university, community. Rest in peace, young men." Cavaliers athletic director Carla Williams also issued a statement and offered prayers for the family and also families of the students. "As a mother of 3 children, I ache for the parents and their family members," Williams said. "We lost 3 talented, bright young men. We will never see what their impact on the world would have been, but we will never forget their impact on us. I miss Lavelle, Deshaun, and Devin. I pray for peace, comfort, and hope for their parents and loved ones. For their teammates, coaches, and friends, I pray for strength and peace that surpasses all understanding." Ryan said the students had traveled to Washington, D.C. on Sunday to attend a play as part of a class field trip. Longo said the students enjoyed a meal together, and then someone amongst them chose to do an act of violence. About 13 minutes into the 20-minute news conference Monday, Longo was interrupted by another law enforcement official told that Jones had been apprehended. After announcing the arrest, Longo paused briefly. He said, "I just need a moment to thank God and breathe a sigh of relief," Longo told reporters. Jones' father, Chris Jones Sr., told Richmond TV station he was in disbelief after getting a call from police on Monday. He said, my heart goes out to their families. I don't know what to say except I'm sorry on his behalf, and I apologize." Longo said during the news conference that the university's multidisciplinary threat assessment team in September was notified by someone that Jones had made a comment about having a gun on campus. Longo said the person who was not affiliated with the university had never seen the gun. The comment about Mr. Jones owning a gun was not made in conjunction with any threats. Longo said the Office of the Student Affairs contacted the person who reported Jones' comments about the gun and attempted to speak with Jones. Jones' roommates told the university that he had not seen a weapon. The university later learned that Jones had been charged with misdemeanor concealed weapon charges outside Charlottesville in February 2021. He was required to report the criminal charges to the university but failed to do so. Longo said the university had taken administrative charges through the Judiciary Council against Jones, and the case was still pending. Yeah, I thought it was important to share that information with you, Longo said during the news conference, to let you know that he had been called to our attention and to answer any questions you might have about that. I want you to hear that from me and not hear it from someone else. Longo said Jones was also the subject of a hazing investigation, but the case was closed because witnesses would not cooperate in the process. Davis had 16 catches for 370 yards, 2 touchdowns As a freshman in 2020, he caught 20 passes for 515 and 5 touchdowns, averaging 25.8 yards per catch. He did not play during the 2021 season because of the knee injury that required surgery. So saddening news this morning. Newberry College assistant coach Sean Lampkin, a cousin of Davis, posted on Twitter Monday, God take one of his most kind, humble, and loving soldiers off the battlefield last night. Please pray for my family. We are devastated by the passing of my cousin Lavelle Davis Jr. And they got a lot more, but man, this is crazy, man. I mean, and I don't think I've heard about a motive. And hold on, we said, although we do not yet fully have a full understanding of the motive and circumstances around these events, police are investigating as we speak. So they still themselves don't know what the motive was and what the issue was, man. But man, it's sad.
Yeah, no question, man. I don't know if I got any more to add to that, man. It's just sad to see these 3 college football players, and you got an ex-player in custody. These 3 players done lost their lives, and this possibility this ex-player could be, done destroyed his own life. So nothing good about that situation at all, man. Hate to hear it, and it's just a sad situation, sad story. And those are the stories you don't like to hear. You like to read, like to hear. A lot of times, we don't know all the facts of what happened, but a lot of times, man, it's just hate for young people. Football players. It doesn't really matter what they did. It's just 3 young players, and senseless.
Yeah, it's senseless. I talk about it all the time in the state of young men in this country and the issues that they're going through. And this continues to highlight the issues that they're going through. As long as you keep boys and young men on the back burner, like this country has, this is the result you're going to get. They're crying out for help. That's what they're doing. There's a lot of them, they're in pain and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to act. They're looking for answers, and people are just kind of like ignoring them. If I'm getting ignored, I'm not getting any help. What are you going to do? You're going to act out. It's just that old, I think it was like an old proverb. It said that the child that's neglected by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. And that's real.
And we have to find, I really feel there's a lot of anger going on in this country right now. And I see it in young adults, 15, 16, 14-year-olds. And as you say, screaming for help. And they just, I don't know, a lot of people just, whether they got problems at home, not talking enough, but just ready to explode at any moment. And another thing is also, we got too many guns out in this country, man. I know we talk about it all the time. It's too easy to get a gun in the United States.
Especially Florida.
We got the amendment rights, second, the amendment, Second Amendment, that kind of thing. But I don't know, man. I just feel there's too many guns in the street. And then all the people who follow behind the amendment rights to own and bear arms are the ones when something happened like this tragedy. Those are the people who go back in the house, lock the door, and you don't hear from them during tragedies like this here that was, gun violence. And I just think this country got to move in a way, man, that what's right is what's right. And not so much look at everything as being a right to bear, but what is right. I mean, it's in the school situation where kids don't feel safe in the schools. You got kids now walking with metal detectors, walking inside schools with metal detectors. And I don't know. I just yearn from the. I mean, I'm an old school guy, not to dwell on it, but boy, it was so much more peaceful in the 70s and the 80s, where you had threats, but it's just now it's just like everybody is on red alert. on there's a red code, You don't know what might happen. And even this story relate to that. Here's they're going on a trip to Washington and something escalates from a trip. It just when are we gonna be safe, man? When can you just take a trip? Or when can you go and walk into a school and you don't feel like something might happen or could possibility to happen to even make you think like that? And the bottom line is we got too many guns on the streets. We got too many people hiding behind that amendment. And there's got to be more dialogue, and we got to solve this problem because there's just too much gun violence.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the very least, I mean, some kind of stipulations on it, something, because in Florida, I can, like private sales, you can sell a gun. That person doesn't have to get background check, history, nothing. You can just sell it. It's just like that. It's like the Wild Wild West,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so, man, we're gonna leave that right there. I mean, and heart goes out to the family and families of those young men. And hopefully, the other two make speedy recoveries. And this is senseless at this point, man. But maybe one day, maybe we'll get some resolution to it. But until you take a good look at the boys and see what state they're in and prioritize them, you're going to continue to get this. Because I will say this, Reed, even without guns, they're going to find a way to do things like this. Was it he drove the truck full of fertilizer and blew up the building that on Oklahoma? You had the one during he ran a like a big the 456, the real big Fords into the crowd and killed like 16 people. So you're always going to have to be able, if they are able to get their hand on it, them creating bombs and all that stuff, it's going to happen. You got to address the root cause of it as well.
Yeah, we do. Yep.
Yeah. So, man, we're going to wrap it right there. We're going to go back to the NFL. And there's been a lot of talk about safer playing fields. Me and you were talking about this. And it's like, we've known how bad turf was for a long time. Now, the newer turf is better because they put the cut-up tires, kind of like the rubber pellets, and it kind of has a good bit of give to it. But there's not a substitute for natural grass. It's different. It's just different. And players have talked about it. They've been campaigning for it. The last couple of years, they've been getting more and more vocal about it. But this is where I have to push back on the players. Where was this when it was time to bargain for the collective agreement? Where was this? This is what you needed to do. This is what you needed to collectively bargain. Make them, you should have got, number one, got rid of franchise tag. Number two, change the fields. Number three, guaranteed contracts or getting close to guaranteed contracts. There's been not much headway made on that as well. So, I mean, you're your own worst enemy in this situation. They want to point the blame at owners and try to shame the owners, but the players have to take some accountability in this as well.
And another thing, Brandon, their representative, they gotta have. I always thought that the communication between their directives of that union and the players of the union don't have the same type of communication as the Chris Paul and the Players Association have in the NBA. And you're right. They should leverage and bargain and start talking about this 2 years. They become united 2 years before the collective bargaining agreement or they're in negotiations to reach an agreement. I don't think they have a unified front. And, they should have a situation where everybody's united. This is what our objectives to meet for the next collective bargaining agreement. This is what we're going to hold our, if we have to strike, then we strike. But these are the three things, the concessions that we want this league to agree upon, and we will not play unless you agree upon it. But they got to be more unified. It's all about not striking, not not getting
Yeah.
that paycheck stopped. And then you
Yeah.
have this couple of years after the fact that they feel that they deeming like, okay, the astroturf, I mean not astroturf, but just the artificial surface is not what we want. So like you, I agree with you, man. Put it in writing, negotiate it, and make a hard edge bargaining agreement that, hey, if this doesn't change, or this is not the way we want it, or you're not going to concede what we want, then threaten, even if it takes a little walkout. But
Yeah.
you got to become more unified as a union. And you also got to become more communicative with the people who negotiate the contracts. It just seems to me that there's just not enough information being dispensed. I done seen things even during the COVID situation with the union and the players, where the union agreed on stipulations, where they had a meeting with the league about the COVID testing and the little things like that. And then some of the information didn't get relayed to the, not going to say majority, but some players, didn't have any information or not enough information.
Yeah.
And that's when you dealing with unions and you dealing with your union rep, and you got a player rep. There's one player rep for each team to get that information dispensed to the players. And I just think there got to be a better communication line, because if they're not, we're talking about 2 years ago. I know for sure in 2020 that the league kind of, to me, mandates to the union, this is the way we're going to do it. The league and the union say, okay, no problem. We'll go about this way. We'll have a conference call with the players.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like every time where it's already been agreed upon and it's just going through a formality. And that's got to change. No question.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's the NFL players weigh in on requests for safer playing fields, in which I'm looking at some of their tweets. And so Alex Mack, he said, ask any player, they will tell you they prefer to play on grass. Even coaches will tell you it's easier to stand on the sideline if it's a grass field. We know the data. The bare minimum the NFL should do is remove slit film turf. The evidence is there. Say Tommy Tremble said, we want to be on the field. Coaches want us on the field, and so do the fans. Slit film turf is taking too many guys out of the game. Let's say Johnny Hecker, he said, we have to fight for the future of football to be safer for all players. We know beyond any suspension that slit film turf is a risk to the health and wellness of our league. It's time we move to safer fields. He said, and then you got Alan Lazard and David Bakhtiari. Bakhtiari said the fact that the NFL can't watch Rashawn Gary play because of the Detroit slit film turf is a shame. You're taking good football away from the fans. And Alan Lazard retweeted, he said, plain and simple, the NFL doesn't care about the health and safety of the players. If they did, they would make sure they would have the best field conditions when we are making billions for them. That's what he meant to say. Mm-hmm. And then Nick Bosa said, NFL says they care about player safety, yet they can't put us on a natural surface. But yeah. And so, but yeah, I understand you got all this heat, you got all this smoke, and that's cool. You're tweeting, and that's fine. But when it comes time where you can actually do something about this, I better see all of them that was talking. I better see them front and center. Front and center. Or they better tell their NFL, NFLPA, whoever, they better be campaigning for this to get done. This has to get done. You need to present this to the owners, present to whoever you need to present it to. If you're this adamant about it, and I understand it, get it done. You're not powerless in this. There's no reason why this shouldn't get done.
Yep. I'm in agreement. The union got to act more like a union. Get unified and stop having things streamlined down to the union.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, man, but we're gonna leave that right there, and we're gonna finish up with a little bit of NBA and just Jalen Brown. I saw he was doing a press conference, and I think this was after a game, and I just wanted to share this video. Then we're gonna get on up out of here. But let's see. Here.
For organizations that try to at least find.
And so the context to this, Jalen Brown, he called out Joe Tsai, the owner of the Nets. He said, "Our society has work to do, including Joe Tsai. It's 2022. It takes 10 minutes of time to see who these business owners, corporation, who they're associated with." Oh man, that's big time right there. So let's see what he had to say.
Sensitivity, on both sides, that need to be addressed, and I'm looking forward to the union and the NBA and the Brooklyn Nets coming to a solution in the near future.
And I know that there's been a lot of support for like Kyrie's character and things you mentioned, like Adam saying, but obviously it took him a while to be willing to confront the issue that people have with the content he shared and apologize for it. So considering that the way that he handled the situation seemed kind of uncharted, is it reasonable for organizations to try to at least find some sort of way for the player to kind of demonstrate contrition when they feel like the player's not doing it in a way that the public will accept?
I'm sorry, what's your question?
Sorry. That's the question was it, even though you have issues with the way that the parameters the Nets set out, is it fair for the Nets to try to create some sort of, way for him to satisfy everybody's need for there to be an apology that they feel is sincere?
I'm not sure how to answer that question. I think you are asking for a need to satisfy the common public, and I'm not sure if that is something that Kyrie is looking to do. I don't think he meant any harm by posting it. Obviously, it came off as insensitive to a lot of people, but Adam came out with a statement. He doesn't believe Kyrie Irving is anti-Semitic. Joe Tsai came out and said a statement that they don't believe he is anti-Semitic. Those were their words. So he's already apologized, formally through his IG post. He said he supports all walks of life, etc. But the comment that Joe Tsai made, which I feel like bothered, a lot of people, was like, he has more work to do. Like, what does that mean? Our society has more work to do, including Joe Tsai. So I'm curious to know what that is, what that means. And everybody's tuned in and watching the situation because this is our league. We all are basketball players, but we all are human beings as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing the union and NBA figure out what the next steps are. Thank you.
Way to stand on your square, young man.
Let me clue you in on something in that interview right there. Nick Friedel is the same guy that he just asked Brown that question.
That was the one.
He's the same guy that got with Kyrie. Same guy. ESPN. And I always say this about ESPN. It's it's good what they do in certain things, but they also create the news and keep the controversy going. The question that he just asked Brown was pointed. He's asking to get a reaction to keep the fire going and keep the controversy simmering. And this young man reversed that. He reversed it back to the reporter. But
yeah, he did.
That's the one thing about the media, man, and particularly ESPN. They do things, and some people say clickbait. I don't really call it clickbait. I just call it you making statements into questions, and you putting the statement out to get a reaction to the statement. And as reporters, you're supposed to ask the question, not give a statement and ask this player to respond to the statement. Which is crazy. That's why he came back with the question of it that he had, that Brown had, was, what are you asking?
Yeah.
What
satisfying who? Yeah, the public.
Yeah.
I like what he said. He was like he brushed him off like the public. Is that what we talking about?
Yeah.
No, he said Kyrie has Kyrie has no motivation to do that. The public, no.
And I mean, when you reach a point where you apologize, I mean, he's going through the suspension. What more is it going to be said? I mean, he's done what he's been asked to do, and you know, I think sometimes in the media we take the gravy. I mean, we take the train too far. You know, we just throwing out darts and trying to get back a response, and whatever hits the biggest, we got a story, and that's I don't like that journalism right now. You know, which part of the reason I got out of the business because it's like TMZ. You know, we just throwing stuff on the wall to create something, and we can drag anybody into the controversy. You know, like you can be on the outside looking into the fire. You got no reason, don't know what happened, but what do you think about the fire? And you just getting the greatest reaction. Like this guy could say, okay, well, whoever did it, I commend them. You know, we need more fires in the city. And that's what that reporter was trying to get. Just that type of reaction. Even no matter how he draw it out of him, because he made a statement, not a question. And I think that's sadly what ESPN has become. It's become a network who's trying desperately to stay what they used to be, and they're creating the news. I mean, essentially, that's what they're doing. They're keeping it going on and on and on. So every talk show that they host can talk about it. We go into week 3, week 4, day 4, day 5. We still talking about the same topic. And I don't see Kyrie getting on ESPN and on those shows because they know how it is. They're going to get ambushed.
Yeah. And just listening to Jaylen Brown speak, I've never really listened to him speak previous to maybe a couple of times, but never in depth. This is the most I've listened to him speak over the last couple of weeks, him talking about this and making statements. He seems like a very intelligent guy.
Yeah.
And he saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah.
And he just redirected it. And that just throughout this whole thing and his ability to stand behind what he said, you know, because man, you don't watch the other guys. It's guys who are, whether they in the media or, you know, whether they on these shows, folded like a lawn chair.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, Jaylen Brown got more gumption than you? I mean, that's crazy. You know, are you that afraid? That's like Jalen Rose apologizing because he asked, why don't we know the name of the woman who was a part of the consensual relationship with Ime Udoka? And then he came out and apologized, and everybody been clowning him for that apology because he looked like a hostage. Because you could tell he didn't want to apologize. Who said he said that I now know why how I was wrong and why we should know her name. When he said that, I say, oh man, he looked like a robot. I'm like, man, no. I mean, because nothing he said was wrong, and they made him apologize during the commercial break. They stopped the commercial, came back on air, made him apologize. I said, God, Lee.
That's what the network has become, man. And they done. I don't know if ABC News is doing more controlling the message or what's going on, but they're not the all sports and entertainment network that used to be, you know, very respected and did great work and covered the news and didn't create the news. And I think now it's just, I don't know. I like their college football coverage and things like that they still do a great job on, but I just think they're too central. You know, it's almost like they're over, you know, is that they're becoming TMZ. You know, the only thing they're not doing is paying for interviews, but they're becoming the, you know, creating the news. You know, whatever we got to do to create the news, get the buzz, get some people to talk about us that it was broken by ESPN. That's where we go. And I know the Well, I know Nick Fordell, and I mean, deep, I'm sure everything is being directed that we want you to be on top of this. We want you to, get the meat of this story and things, but man, sometimes you got to go with what your principles are also, man. You can't draw an opinion from a guy who played for the Celtics and trying to take a stab at him so he could give what his stance is on the same topic that you basically asked Kyrie. And I just don't, I mean, what is that going to do? What is that going to add to your story? What is it going to add to Kyrie's situation? And I think guys really have to be, cognizant of what we do as the media.
Yeah.
I think they have to really be trained on what the incentive is for the media when they ask certain questions or keep the storyline going. I think that's the problem with this situation right now, is trying to keep the storyline going when Kyrie is obviously suspended. It's starting to wane a little bit. It's not what it was a week ago. And then your responsibility at ESPN is to keep the news of this topic going, and you just asking any and everybody and trying to trap them into something to get a reaction. That's basically what it is.
Yeah. Let's check this out right here, and we're gonna get on up out here. This was hilarious to me.
I'm Jalen Rose, and I would like to apologize for a comment I made earlier on NBA Countdown. I questioned why a woman's name who had an alleged affair with Celtics head coach Ime Udoka was not made public. After an internal investigation, and it was discovered that she was a subordinate to the head coach, I now understand fully why her name should not be released to the public. Now back to our NBA coverage. I'm Jalen Rose, and I would like to...
Man, you can almost see the barrel to his head. You can almost see it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
this is ridiculous.
That's forced apology.
Yeah. Get out there, you're gonna lose your job. That's basically what that was. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing, man.
Don't apologize immediately. We're gonna release you from your contract.
Yeah,
but that's what they become. The worldwide leader.
Yeah, the worldwide leader in creating storylines instead of reporting on the news, man. We've been talking about that for the last year or so, man. But so what's your final thoughts? Jaguars got a bye week coming up, man. I just want them to finish strong. Just finish strong. That's all I want. I'm looking to finish strong. What's your final thoughts before we get on the fight?
I think that they got a bye week at the right time. There's a lot of issues going on with this football team, man. They hiding things and miscommunication. They got the helmet problems and the green dot problems. And I just think they just got to be straight up, man. We rebuilding. We need to reload. We got to get more weapons on the football field. We like the progress that Trevor is making right now, but it's not totally what we would like. But he's heading in a direction. But
yeah,
we got a long ways to go to become a winning franchise, man.
Yeah. Now, I will say what's encouraging is you are seeing some progress of the young guys. I think it's going to help us going into the future. Andre Cisco, of course, one guy that, we've talked about a little bit, but Rayshon Jenkins has been on another level all season. This is his best season as a Jaguar. I don't think he's played like this previous to even coming here. I think this is probably the best season of his career. Trevor Lawrence has taken that step, man. He played very well down the stretch. He didn't make those mistakes that he made in the past, especially in the red zone. Him, even though the touchdown was called back, he rolled to the left this time instead of to the right. To the right, he's made his mistakes. He rolls out to the left, making great decisions. So, man, get that X receiver in here. Change the defensive scheme. 3-4 is not it. Go get some more corners so we can play some man coverage, please. you know, because y'all got communication issues with Zone. So yeah, so we'll see what the future may hold, man. But until next time, I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow me on all my social medias. Follow Mr. Reed on Twitter, and we will be back with more live streams. But until next time, we are out of here. Peace out, y'all.